What's up, guys? Our Wrestling Podcast back at you with another episode. This is Dave Vicious, along with Justin Total Package and Uncle Cuz, bringing you our perspective on the world of professional wrestling. No inside sources, no ties to the industry, just stories from the diehards, sharing opinions with you. Today's topic, the legacy of SummerSlam 1992. For audio fans, can you give us a listen on Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, and Google Podcast, or watch our videos on YouTube at Our Wrestling Channel? We'd really appreciate it on social media if you give us a follow on Instagram at O.W.P 2019 or on Facebook at Our Wrestling Podcast. Jess, why are we doing SummerSlam 92? I know this is big and this gets wild, and there's even Davey Boy Intercontinental belts out there.
I wanted to do a review, but in all honesty, if I did a review, there's only two matches that are worth a damn on the whole show. But the legacy of SummerSlam 92 is super prominent this year because AEW, at the end of August, which is the month that this is going to air, is going to be at Wembley Stadium. And SummerSlam 1992 was from Wembley Stadium. I believe the old one, right? Because they remodeled it or they moved it. Yep. Yeah. So the old one. Yes. But still, the legacy, and when they did Clash at the Castle last year, that was the first time they returned to that area. Since then, they were not at Wembley. And then they were in the O2 Arena for Money in the Bank this past month. And John Cena comes out and says, you guys need a WrestleMania. So where else do you think that WrestleMania is going to be besides Wembley? So I just feel, especially when the WWE starts to do like overseas tours, and now you have AEW doing All In. I said All Out in the beginning. I meant All In. They're going to do All In from Wembley Stadium at late August. I think that I don't know of any WrestleMania that's even talked about, in my opinion, as much as SummerSlam 92, because it was such a weird event. It was overseas, so again, it was 80,000 people. The main event wasn't the world title. It was the Intercontinental title. And I think that a lot of people still, especially when you start talking about European tours, this event comes up. So I was like, I don't want to review the pay-per-view. I want to talk about the legacy. Because I feel for some reason, the legacy of SummerSlam 92 is a thing.
You know what's missing from this, though? It's an iconic moment. It happens at the beginning of the pay-per-view. We've talked about it before. I think on one of our Christmas episodes, I gifted it to Craig, but it was the little kid. The British Bulldog's gonna win, whether he likes it or not.
Yeah.
And then you end up finding out that was actually a chick, so I fucked up again, because when I did the story last time of it, it's actually a girl, and they made an action figure about her.
They did. Yeah.
I forgot her name.
That's actually, I'm glad you brought that up, because it just kind of goes with the legacy of this pay-per-view. There's
it opens up.
It's weird. I was just thinking I was gonna let's do SummerSlam 92 review. It's proper to do because I've been holding off on purpose on it, and then now that I know AEW is going to Wembley, I was like, perfect time to do it. And John Cena just came out last month and said, let's have WrestleMania here. So I was like, let's do it. But then I'm like, no, you know what? Let's do a legacy on the actual pay-per-view, because I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I just feel like people still revere this pay-per-view. They talk about it all the time, mainly because of the main event. But I mean, it. Well, especially in England, they're hungry for it because they don't get it a lot.
Yeah, that's what it is.
They look up to this event like Conrad Thompson put it the best. They look at this event like the people who grew up in the 80s looked at WrestleMania 3. They were like, that's the shit. Like, that changed everything, and that made even casual wrestling fans look at it and go, oh, they can put 80,000 people in there. So, I think it's going to be a good one.
The 1992 SummerSlam was the 5th annual SummerSlam pay-per-view event produced by the World Wrestling Federation, which was WWF at the time, now WWE. It took place on a Saturday, August 29th, 1992, at Wembley Stadium in London, England, and aired on tape delay, believe it or not, on Monday, August 31st, 1992. This was the first major WWF pay-per-view to take place outside of North America. SummerSlam 92 was originally intended to take place at the Capitol Center in Landover, Maryland. That sounds like garbage. However, the WWF decided to move the event to Wembley Stadium in London, England, due to the company's growing popularity in the United Kingdom and the possibility of increasing the revenue from that event itself. Shawn Michaels was originally booked to win the WWF Intercontinental Championship from Bret Hart, but the storyline was adjusted due to the change of venue. As a result, the British Bulldog, Davey Boy Smith, a native of Goulburn, a working-class town in the north of England, was chosen to win the belt. And I just got to stop here. I wish
whether
Craig
he likes
was here.
it or not.
I wish Craig was here to talk about this.
Well,
know.
and interesting too, I was watching a shoot interview with
Yeah, it's a
Brett.
gift for
Not
him.
only was Shawn Michaels going to win the IC title from him, but it was going to be a ladder match because Brett brought it over in '92 and showed it, and him and Shawn did ladder match examples for Patterson and Vince at house shows because Vince like, how does this thing work
Man.
again? And so, but they ended up holding off until '94. I think they did one other ladder match with Brett and Jarrett in '93 too. For some reason, I remember footage of that. So Brett often marched it out or whatever, but I guess the original early plans, Brett said, was Shawn and Brett or in the ladder match for the IC title, and Shawn was going to win.
The ladder tipped over. Shawn Michaels was clotheslined right on the top rope, and now the Hitman's up there. Now he's up high enough. Now he can get it. Yes.
And that was the whole thing. And then when they switched the venue, they were like, well, you know, even Brett said he went to Vince and he's like, look, we can do Shawn and I and we'll tear the house down. But what about Davey? Like, because Davey had always been like, the crowd wanted to get behind Davey ever since he turned singles and came back with the braids. So a lot of people were getting behind Davey Boy Smith, even here in the US. So like, it was sort of like a dead heat. Like I knew those three as a fan, Shawn, Brett, and Davey were going to play huge parts in the IC title in '92. You just felt it. And so so I guess it's kind of crazy the way it all worked out. I'm glad it did, and it's probably the main reason why this pay per view is talked about because it was so great.
But mean Shawn, but then I asked Vince, "How about me and Davey?"
And how about some adjustments, right? So, and they did adjust this. The WWE considers the crowd to be the fourth largest live audience ever to attend a WWF or WWE event, with 80,355 in attendance. WrestleMania 29 in 2013 is reported as having 80,676. WrestleMania 3 reporting that 93,000 plus we've talked about. And then WrestleMania 32 is reported having 101,763.
And they lie about it, so that
until they build a bigger stadium.
Oh, we're talking about 1 million. Some writers believe that WWF inflated the attendance figure for WrestleManias.
They do.
However, that SummerSlam 92 had a larger crowd. Between ticket prices and merchandise sales, WWF made over $3,650,000 in revenue.
This is 1992 money, by the way.
Wow. Revenues of the event are almost all positive, and the Smith-Hart match has been rated the best match in SummerSlam history. It makes you wonder why, if you could put that much money in revenue and soft goods while you're there, why don't you go back there? It just doesn't make sense. Like, or why wouldn't you go back overseas for pay-per-views? It's
the only thing I can think about is just the travel's difficult. That's the only thing I can think of. But if you only go over once a year, how bad is it really?
That's what I'm saying. And now you're doing it in Saudi.
I mean, they're doing it a lot now because they're doing.
Well, Saudi's giving them an awful lot of money to go over there.
It's way more than $3 million.
But I think that's to your point, Dave. That's what they were waiting for. Now cities, they all bid to have WrestleMania come over. So I think now it's like basically what Cena went out there and did was he wants the fans to get so rabid that London now is going to be like, now we have to fucking make a move and make WWE an offer to come over here in 2025, 2026 and have WrestleMania here. So it's like basically, and Wembley's
don't do it, John. No.
Yeah. Wembley's going to give them the venue for the days, and then they'll just take all the, the revenue, the drinks and the food, and they'll take a small percentage of merchandise, I'm sure. And so Wembley will, so it's like now you're a bitch if you don't offer WWE your city for free. Like basically,
they put him on the spot. That was a Vince McMahon maneuver there, probably.
Yep. Well, he's been waiting for this forever. I mean, my goodness, like you build WrestleMania. That's why I don't get too shitty when they fudge the fucking tickets. I'm like, look, like they could do the $5 special a week before the event if they want to sell another 5,000, 10,000 seats, but they don't. Like, so it's like it's just I don't know. But I feel that this SummerSlam is a true number. It's like for some reason they never went out of their way to lie about this. It's weird. Like it's really weird.
Yeah.
Wow.
Let's jump into the storylines of it. One of the main events was the Intercontinental Championship match between Bret Hart and Davey Boy Smith,
81,000
brothers-in-law in real life, as Smith was married to Diana Hart, Bret's sister. On television broadcasts leading to SummerSlam, interviews with Diana and her mother, Helen, portrayed the family as being torn apart by the upcoming match. Yeah, that's possible. Bruce Hart publicly supported Smith, while Owen Hart sided with his brother Bret because they hadn't had a falling out yet, and he didn't kick the leg out of his leg.
What about Wow Hart?
Diana stated she did not know who she wanted to win the match. She had close ties to both men. Can't imagine why. Brothers and husbands, whatever. She ultimately stated that she simply hoped that neither wrestler would get hurt. Oh, it's so precious.
Unbelievable intestinal fortitude on the part of both participants. Sunset flip. Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of this bout and new Intercontinental Champion, the British Bulldog.
Yeah. Prior to the match, Smith was hospitalized with a legitimate staph infection with his knee. Despite the concerns about his health, he decided to wrestle the match as planned. Bret Hart later revealed in an interview that he doubted the legitimacy of the injury.
Yeah, didn't he say that? Didn't he say that that the night before or something like that, like Jim and Davey Boy were fucking doing drugs, like in the hotel room, like they were doing like crack or something like that.
Like Davey was
wasn't he
reportedly high
in
as a
the match?
kite. Yeah,
Yeah, him and that Jim the Anvil Neidhart and Davey Boy Smith, like they did like crack or something like that the night before.
I forgot what to do.
Oh my!
Yeah, literally, according to Bret, he forgot everything to do, and Bret had to walk him through the entire match. But
I told Vince he was high.
That's not. I don't know. We'll see.
I didn't believe that he was injured.
Yeah, we'll never know because Davey Boy can't ever defend that. So, the other main event was the WWF Championship match between the Ultimate Warrior.
He'd probably
and
be
Randy
like,
Savage.
I mean, yeah. Like,
this by the way was another reason why. I mean, Ultimate Warrior's in a rematch here, by the way. I think at the time, right? Because Savage is the champion.
He's the GOAT.
Or no?
Yeah, Savage is champion here, but it was a rematch from WrestleMania 7, which Macho Man got retired by the Warrior.
Yes, that's right. And then and then WrestleMania 8 is when Macho came back and beat Flair, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, Ultimate Warrior gets crapped on, but he brings it on himself. We can talk about that another day.
He's the GOAT.
No, he's not. Although they had a previous run of house show matches in early
Bulldog.
1989, the rivalry between them, I'm assuming is this is Savage and Warrior. Okay, between Savage and Warrior began in earnest in the fall of '90 when Sensational Sherry, who was managing Savage, tried to arrange a match between Savage and Warrior. We miss Sensational Sherry. We do. The Warrior refused to defend his WWF Championship against Savage, and he ripped up a contract that Sherry had given him. While they faced each other at house shows all over the next few months, Savage was unable to win the title. They never had a televised match with each other. Savage then interfered with the title match in Royal Rumble of 91, enabling Sergeant Slaughter, of all pig bellies, to win the title. To settle the rivalry, Savage and Warrior agreed to face each other in a retirement match at WrestleMania 7. Warrior won that match, forcing Savage into retirement. However, Savage would be reinstated as an active wrestler in November of 1991, which is so
Also
weird.
should be noticed, too, about this card is this was probably about 3 months before the bottom completely fell out. So I've always said the beginning of 92 looked totally different than like Survivor Series of 92. Like people didn't realize that like the Rockin' 80s were dying here. 91 business started to get soft, but you didn't know. You didn't know. The Sergeant Slaughter Iraqi sympathizer angle didn't go over nearly as well as they thought it would. Hogan didn't have the same Hogan juice that he had before. He was really never the same when he lost at WrestleMania 6. Like he wasn't the same, and he was tired, and it was old, and it was an old act. And then you throw the Warrior in there, which was just Hogan light, really. Like the same thing. He shook the ropes to Hulk up, and he did the whole thing. They didn't give us anything different. So as we were all growing up, we're like getting disinterested because we're like, dude, like it's the same bullshit. And then wrestling in general started to go through the steroid accusations, the ring boy accusations. And that started. Hogan lied on Arsenio Hall, and I didn't do steroids. And then it kind of came out that he did do steroids. And so like it was a whole wrestling was starting to get a black eye here in 92. And so this was a last big pay-per-view where you had big names like the Warrior and Savage. I mean, Savage stuck around for a while, but when you go to Survivor Series, out of nowhere, Brett's the champion, Sean's the IC champion, like everything had changed. And like Vince was just trying to go non-looking steroid guys, younger guys, like and all that. So this was like the last. I kind of view this pay-per-view as the last of the Rockin' 80s, like even though it was 92. it was just when it was over. Like,
Yeah.
Vince had to hit the
Well,
reset button here.
you could argue this venue limped along farther than it should have.
It looked impressive,
Yeah.
and then we'll talk about when we read the card, because I'll read that right now. But the
Please.
matches, I mean, there was only 2 good matches on this card. It was Savage and the Warrior, which is actually a lot better than people remember. It wasn't as good as the WrestleMania 7 match, but
They
it was
had
good.
good matches, man.
But it ended
did.
in a shit fucking count out. The whole stupid storyline
Yeah.
was Ric Flair and Mr. Perfect were teasing that Savage or the Warrior, one of them was going to be on their team at the end of SummerSlam. So the whole build up, it was just basically Flair teasing that one of them was going to betray the other. So then that caused dissension between Warrior and Savage, who were both baby faces. And the match was really good. And then it ended in a goddamn count out because Flair interfered. So they ripped you off. It was in the middle of the card, but still, like,
Randy Savage choosing not to leap on the Warrior, instead leaping on Ric Flair, but yes, I agree with you. Ric Flair, Cole cocked him with the chair.
You realize there are 3 different matches going on here?
What is going on, the official? Oh no, Randy Savage has been counted out.
Oh, here we go. Looking perfect. Look what he's going to do. He's going to try to break the ankle on the knee.
Savage has been counted out.
But the match was good. And then, of course, everybody knows about Brett. So the card was as follows here. Legion of Doom, Hawk and Animal defeated Money Incorporated.
Dude,
I will never forget that opening match because the Legion of Doom rode down on Harleys. And
yes,
and
that
it
was a
crazy.
badass entrance.
And I heard the story about Hawk popping several somas and washing them down like before he walked out there. And so I never forget that story. But you look at those names, Legion of Doom. This was the tour. The next day, Hawk and the Berserker, Scott Nord, went on a bender and missed their fucking flights back to the U.S. And it's what caused Hawk to get fired. So the day after this, Hawk got fucking fired or went missing for like a week and missed his flight back to the U.S. So Vince fired him. So Legion of Doom were supposed to be next for the tag titles here, but they fucking just left. They were MIA after this. And Animal, I guess, had to team with what do they say? Animal team with someone they put in his place or whatever to finish out the tour, and then Animal was gone as well. So that's crazy. The Nails defeated Virgil. Jeez, awful.
Wow.
Rick Martel and Shawn Michaels went to a double countout. Sherry was in both man's corner, and the stipulation was you couldn't hit each other in the face because both men were heels. And I was just like, why would you put 2 heels against each other? They were just trying stuff with Michaels. But again, you look at those names, you expect a great match, not a very good match. Natural Disasters, Earthquake and Typhoon defended the WWF tag titles against the Beverly Brothers. Crush defeated Repo Man, which if you knew, it was Smash against Crush. So that was kind of weird.
Wild. Yeah.
The Ultimate Warrior defeated Randy Savage by countout. The Undertaker with Paul Bearer defeated Kamala by disqualification. What are we doing here? Tatanka defeated the Berserker, but that was a dark match for some reason. I don't know why they put it in. That was a dark match. And then the British Bulldog would defeat Bret Hart to win the Intercontinental Championship in the main event. So, I mean, everything was totally different after this pay-per-view in the WWF. It's pretty crazy, to go back and look. Yeah, I mean, so the Bret and Davey match is really good. It's definitely go back and see it. And because probably not a lot of people have watched it, Warrior and Savage is worth it too for the most part. But you know, I can't help but remember just what a downfall wrestling was in. It was really in a depression for the next 3 years until WCW started competing, and then the Monday Night Wars started, and then NWO. Sure. It was just kind of in the Attitude Era right after that. So yeah, man, this was this card is so weird. It's captured in time in my mind.
Just to put a bow on it, the WWF collected $2.2 million in revenue from admissions, up from $445,000 the previous year. The company also sold 1.
And the previous year they had SummerSlam at Madison Square Garden.
Right, 1.4 in merchandise at SummerSlam, which is the largest amount of merchandise revenue at an event. I don't know. I mean, I guess at an event that would make sense. There's so much more online selling now that they probably don't sell as much in venues anymore. So again, probably records that would never be broken anymore because there's internet now. It changes all of that. The buy rate was 1.5. It was down from 2.7 in 91. Wow. But it was higher for the next year of 1.3 buy rate in 93.
Well, and cable was
it's
changing too.
declining.
In their defense, I mean, well, it just shows you the decline of wrestling from one year to the other. That 92 was we were approaching a depression period, but
Sure.
also cable was changing. It was becoming more available in more homes, so the less people that would buy, the lower the rating would be, if that makes any sense. So like
Yeah.
they were changing the way cable came into your household at this point too. So to be fair, but yeah, no, it just showed like, and SummerSlam 91 wasn't great either, but it got 2.7, buy rate, and then against
Yeah.
1.5. It just wrestling was right on the verge of a depression here. We had no idea, and it just the bottom fell out after this. But I just really wanted to talk about this because I save legacies for wrestlers and longevity and all that
I
stuff,
think
and
it
to talk about
fits.
them. But I just
Yeah.
think that now that we're again, AEW is going to be all out or all in. Excuse me, I keep saying all out, all in at Wembley. And John Cena came out and teased us for WrestleMania in England and all that stuff. So I just feel like this event, for some reason, people always talk about this event. It's always something that they talk about, and so I'm like, man, let's do a legacy on it. I think it deserves one.
It's
And it's
iconic.
we're
That's why.
SummerSlam month right now. I mean, I know it's going to be early August this
Exactly.
year, but I mean, all of August usually
Exactly.
used to be SummerSlam month. So you got that, and you have All In at Wembley. So why not?
There you go.
I don't. Well, you were
Brother.
really young, cuz, right?
Yeah, I was like fucking 7 years old or something.
He's all gaga.
Wow.
6 years. Wait.
Gaga
Yeah,
goo
something
goo.
like
Davey Boy
So
Smith.
we'll see. We'll see what AEW can do. We'll see what if WrestleMania does come into England the next 2-3 years or whatever. But I think this for some
Sell
reason,
out.
man, this pay per view lives on. And I think it's because it's in England and it was so big and it was a non WrestleMania to be like in a stadium. I think that was
Yeah.
kind of like the big thing about it.
There you
Yeah, think
go.
about it.
For
Burned in my
audio
memory.
fans, give us a listen on Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, and Google Podcasts, or watch our videos on YouTube at our wrestling channel. On social media, can you give us a follow on Instagram at O.W.P 2019 or on Facebook at Our Wrestling Podcast?
Wow.
For Uncle Cuz and
Wow.
the team,
Wow.
this is the O.W.P signing off. Have a good one.